In response to a couple of comments in my YouTube channel from people who have indicated that they don't even know if they can purchase and what in the world does it look like, well, you want to stay tuned because in this video we're going to go over just some lies or myths that you may have heard and have actually bought into that is keeping you from purchasing, along with just a few little warnings out there that I want you to be aware of, because after all, I kind of tend to be a little bit of a mother hen, and I want to make sure that you have everything that you need before you get started. So let's talk about a few of those in this video, shall we? So many people have no idea what it takes to buy a home, and they don't even realize that they are actually in a position to purchase. And so don't make the mistake that hundreds of buyers have in the past by making the assumption without asking the questions to the right people, like me. I mean, let's face it, a lot of times we just don't know what we don't know, right? And that's why you need to reach out to a local real estate agent or lender and get some of these questions answered. But for now, I want to go over just a few things that you're going to want to know so that you can actually eliminate some of those lies and myths and hopefully get you on the right track to purchasing. The first one is, if you think you can't, most often than not, you can. Most people often think that they need tons of money down in order to buy. And well, that's not always the case. There are seller incentives, whether asking a seller to pay for a buy down. And of course, now this is where the seller will pay to reduce the interest rate so that your monthly mortgage is less. And of course, there are some builders who are using their own incentives, whether that's $20,000 down, or there are some builders that actually have their own in-house lending branch, different than a preferred lender. There are those that have in-house lending where they are also the bank that can offer you oftentimes rates that are lower than 5%, and oftentimes they're usually at a 30-year fixed rate. However, there is a warning with this type of incentive that builders are doing. So I'm going to give you just a side little warning story here, and I really want you guys to be aware of some little cautionary things that you need to know. This just happened. It's a true incident. Had the call just last week, and it all happened because they didn't have their own real estate agent. And so this gentleman called me asking if there was anything he could do to get out of the deal he was in. He thought he would be fine just going with the builder's agent on site. After all, they are so helpful and nice and quick, and sometimes all of that ends up biting you in the rear end. His words exactly. She really got one over on me. She was so nice. She didn't explain what I was signing. She was just handing the papers over, and I just signed. I should have had my own agent. I felt so bad for him, and I really couldn't advise him because I wasn't part of the transaction, didn't have the contract, and so unfortunately the only thing I could do was sympathize. This gentleman went on to tell me that he went with the in-house lender that the agent told him would give him $40,000 in concessions. I mean, wow. Unfortunately, that came at a hidden surprise because that $40,000 of concessions came at a 7.5 interest rate, where the current interest rates, when he actually checked into it with a lender, was actually way below 7.5%. So what was going on? He was actually paying for his own $40,000 in concession and now was tied into a loan for 7.5%, and he had no way out of it. He tried to go back and say, listen, I want to change lenders. They said, nope, sorry, no can do. You're not allowed to switch lenders. You'll be in default. You're at risk of losing your $20,000. Needless to say, he's like, you know what? I am so upset regarding this and so disappointed that I'm almost tempted to just walk away from my $20,000 that I put down, because there's constant things that keep popping up and I have nobody in my court. Now, of course, I want to tell you one other little warning, kind of on a different scale, and I want you guys to be aware, especially as you begin this process. So this one has just started happening within the last 2 months alone. I have had 2 different builders try to bump my client's closing date up by 2 months or more because, yay, they are ahead of schedule. Now, if you are still saving for your down payment or are waiting for your job transfer or still needing to relocate into the area, this will not be a benefit to you. It will actually be a huge burden. And if you don't have an agent in your court representing you, you won't know your rights or ways to get out of it. But if you had your own agent, they would. Needless to say, both of my clients were relocating into Washington and there was no way they could do that. All it took was for me to counsel my clients on how we were going to handle it and then release me to get it done for them. And it got done. Now, if you're buying a pre-existing home, this isn't going to matter to you, right? You won't have these types of things to worry about. And you may not have, of course, the low interest rate offers, but there are still options for you to get you the help that you need to get into the home. For instance, there are first-time homebuyer programs, available grants, and then of course you can ask the seller to pay for what's called a buy down. Whether it's a 3-2-1, 2-1, or 1-1, it just means that you're asking them to pay for your interest rate to be bought down, whether it's for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And of course, that's going to depend on a couple variables, which I'm going to get to in a few minutes. This is another maybe lie or myth. I don't have excellent credit. I mean, I need a 750, 800 credit score. And maybe that's due to divorce, student or medical loans, bills, and you have actually eliminated yourself or talked yourself out of even having the conversation. But let's say, what if you did have, bad credit or lower credit scores, and you actually talked to a lender and that lender said, no, I'm sorry, we can't qualify you. Well, like I tell my clients, you need to have another conversation. Every lender has different loan portfolios, and there are some lenders that I work with that I know that I can go to if I have clients that have under a 620 credit score. And there are other lenders that I know that there'll be a different program that will be better for my client to get them into a home. And so never just talk just one lender and that lender tells you no. Have another conversation. Now let's say, we find that your credit score isn't where it needs to be. What we actually do offer free credit repair and advice, and we can definitely point you into the right direction. So always call. Start first with the real estate agent that then can connect you with the right lender. But don't take no if you went out on your own and only talked to one. Here's another one. What if you had a home in the past and actually had a hardship? And even if you had maybe had to have a short sale or a bankruptcy or even a foreclosure, you may also be able to actually purchase today and you just don't actually realize it because maybe you're a little gun shy and you haven't asked, which is why, of course, you need to reach out because I can help you navigate through these and be able to answer it quite quickly for you on whether it looks like you would have the ability to begin to move forward. So it all starts with a call, even when you've had some unfortunate things happen in the past with home ownership. Now, this one's a huge myth. And a lot of people think it, and I don't know why. They think that they need to wait for inventory to pick up. And that is such a big fat lie. Because right now, when sellers are having their homes sit on the market, it's the actual prime time to pounce. That's when you can go in and get the home at a lower price that better fits your budget, or get the seller to pay incentives that can help you get into that home. And maybe you're saying, there's actually really nothing in my price range. And that's why I'm thinking that I need to wait until more inventory comes on the market. Actually, let's look at higher price points and actually target the ones that have been on the market for 60 or 90 days and then go in and write an offer much less than what they have it listed at. And you would often be surprised that we actually get it. Let's say they said no. What I tell my clients is that let's write an offer. All they can do is say no. And if they do, we're going to move on. And we're going to find one where the seller actually tells us yes. This is what allows us to be able to strategically find a home in a market to where there is limited inventory, because you are finding those sellers that actually have to move. Their home has been sitting And that time has been that educational piece to where now they're willing to lower their price or give more than what they would have on an incentive that will absolutely help you get into that home. There are things that can be done to help you find a home, but what is important is to get a real estate agent that can find these homes for you and connect you with the right lenders to help. And don't just make any call, because I know everyone knows a realtor, but take caution. Lack of experience and knowledge can get you the wrong information, or worse yet, lead you to stress, wasted time, and maybe cost you some money. So reach out if you are wanting to begin to look into your home possibilities, and it doesn't cost you anything, and I can advise you of at least on the steps needed and actually help you every step of the way. That's what I'm here for. A lot of people reach out. They either call, text, or email me, and I'm happy to be able to answer any questions that you may have and just kind of get you started. So I hope that you find this video helpful, and until next time, I hope you have a great home buying and selling day.